Hello and welcome to a new go of New Home Sale podcast. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and joining me today is a friend, Melissa Morman. Melissa is the principal with Build for the Future, and we're excited to have you on the show today. So welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is great.
Thank you for being on the show. You really don't need the introduction in this industry. You've been in this industry for so long, and I think you're one of those bigger than life figures, really, in home building industry, especially when it comes to technology. So I am very privileged to have you on. And in my personal sphere, I feel like I've learned from you throughout the years, and I've always looked up to you. So I am very excited for our conversation today. But for those listeners who may not know who you are, why don't we take them through your journey? So tell us about how did you get into home building industry and what is it that you do now?
Oh, great. Thank you for the kind words, but right back at you for sure. Well, I'd had a really interesting career. I think, as a lot of people, I'm not sure you set out saying, okay, here's where I'm going to end up. We never quite know. But I actually had my foundational years at O'Donnelly and Sons out of Chicago, very traditional print based organization. However, I actually worked in, at that time, software services. So we were getting into software services, but there was still quite a bit of print, which is ironic in a sense. Good 12 years there, the foundational years of account management, operations, sales, and then ultimately ended up managing a global sales team with companies like Microsoft and other software providers. And then I worked in the technology outsourcing world for a few years and then ended up in Austin, which is where I'm from. My family is from, and co-founding BDX. And I was there for 22 years. Loved every minute of it. Our mission was really digital transformation, or helping to lead the builders through digital transformation. And when we started that in the year 2000, the internet was just a thing. Like, we weren't even sure, would that be important? I don't know. So it's been an amazing ride, and I really made some great friends along the way.
You certainly have, and you bet the money where it's at. That was a testament to your vision to say, okay, it's going to be changing, right? As we go from print to internet, like what is the internet? And is it going to be working? It's like the same conversations we're having now with AI, and
Right.
a lot of home builders are scratching their head and saying, is this important? Is this something that I should pay attention to? Because it is like the next major paradigm shift that we're going into this new thing. So I'm curious, what's your take on AI and how it really going to affect the home building industry as a whole?
Oh, you know what? I think it's like any other technology. I think sometimes in home building, we tend to think that we're immune to technology or digital advances and things like that, but we're not. We're swimming in the same world as everyone else. And I think it's going to be extremely important. And it certainly applies. There's some really obvious applications to marketing, and a lot of us in that world have embraced it. There's some efficiencies, there's some creative aspects. You have to be super careful with the legal and ethical implications. You can't just turn it loose. So I think there's some obvious plays there, but there's so many other applications throughout the process with kind of interpreting design trends and monitoring those through AI, imaging, looking for defects, quality control, safety. It just, any function in a home builder, there are implications, and some of them are great opportunities and aspirations, things that we could do. Some of them are going to happen to you, and you need to be ready. It's not really a choice of whether you embrace it. It's like, I know you have been out there just being an apostle on how AI is changing search. People aren't going to necessarily use traditional search. And if a builder goes into their market, you're in Houston, top home builders in Houston, AI will spit out some names, and you may or may not be on that list. And so I think that's a good example of, you can't ignore it, because there are things you can do to be ready for that and to make sure you show up, much like we had to do when search was a thing. Search was new at one point, way back when. We had to figure out how do we win in that world of search. And I think AI is just that next progression.
Yeah, 100%. For marketing people, it's like another thing. It's not bad. Print had gone away, it's still here, and some people are still using print. And it's not like SEO is going to be going away anytime soon or ever. It's just now you have to think about AI and how people are searching. You're right. So it's just another thing on your plate. So good chances that it keeps us on our toes and everything constantly changes. It's just another thing we have to learn. But hey, that's what keeps it so interesting around.
I know. And I was in a builder's office last week and they handed me this huge printed catalog of all the floor plans. And I'm like, yeah, we are still doing print. Okay. Here we go.
So speaking of transitioning from print and the technology adoption, what inspired you to co-found Build for the Future, and how do you aim to accelerate technology adoption, specifically in the building industry? Because typically it's been considered a laggard when it comes to technology. But I think, again, with your entire career, you have been on the forefront of technology adoption for this industry.
I think Built for the Future, really, Tim Costello and I, we left BDX, had such a great experience there, but we were, I guess we'll just slow down. And we even thought, are we going to retire? Is that like we're going to, and that lasted like a month. And, and it's like, we still have a lot of work to do. And what's interesting is we're just as passionate and it's really the same mission. It's still about helping our industry understand the potential, will take the lead, go down that journey. So it's really still about digital transformation. What's super fun is you're untethered. So you don't work for just a company. And BDX, the consortium was unique in a way because you worked for the whole industry, but you did have products. And now I feel like my job is to help all of the solutions be the best that they can be, completely Swiss, completely neutral. And I want them all to get better because with the number of builders across the country, everybody could make a lot of sales. And it's really just about getting builders to adopt that technology and help them with that mindset. So we're still on that same journey, just a little bit untethered, if you will.
I love that because there is so much more technology than BDX, even when it comes to outside of sales and marketing technology. Every day, I try to spend some time during my day to learn about home builder technology as a whole, even in construction. All the new things that are coming out, and there's some companies that are streamlining really a whole process from start to finish. And it seems like there are new props that coming out every single day. So it's definitely a very exciting space to be in. But as a home builder, I can imagine that it is very challenging because obviously their primary job is to concentrate on building home and making sure they can do that. And we're already in a really challenging environment when it comes to that. Both in your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see home builders face when it comes to digital transformation?
Okay, how long do we have? Let's see. And I will start with, I usually have a few challenges, but I will start with, I actually have great empathy. Home building is super complex and it is the largest purchase consumers will make. So it's got that collision of those things. So I have great empathy and we need to get over that. But I think the challenge is first, I'm not sure that we recognize the business that we're actually in. I think a lot of home builders still view themselves as being in construction and they're in the construction industry versus we're really retailers and we are retailers of the most expensive products any consumer will buy in their lifetime. And if you make that shift, you start thinking more like Amazon and Walmart and Starbucks and all of these other retailers that are out there. And it suddenly shifts your view and you look at your metrics different. You map your processes, but you map them with a journey view from a customer perspective. And you're constantly looking for bonus and incentive comp that is tied to customer satisfaction and metrics. So it just causes this shift in how you approach the business. And it's not like you suddenly can't worry about doing purchasing really well or hiring contractors really well and buying land smart. Those things are really super important. But when we think about really at the end of the day who we are, and big spoiler alert, our customers don't give us, a pass because it's so hard. They want the same experience they get from their favorite retailers. So they expect that. And that's how the bar is set. So I think that's the first challenge, is just knowing that we are retailers. I think the second challenge is really our own biases. We're swimming in this world personally. So every day I get a new app and my app has a new feature. And even the government the other day was verifying my identity through image recognition, which is super progressive of them, but scary at the same time. It didn't verify me, by the way, but let's not go there. It didn't work. But we're swimming in all this new technology and that's in our personal lives, but we somehow just don't think our customers and our employees expect the same thing. It's almost like we can be digital dinosaurs because it's really hard and it's really complicated. So I think we have to embrace that that's the bar that's set and we've got to jump in there. So we've got to get rid of our own biases. And then third is digital transformation is not just for our customers, it's for employees as well, especially as our employees shift to more and more millennials, the Gen Zers are coming in. And every time I do a customer experience engagement with a company, solution provider or builder or any company, I always bring in what I call HX, which is the human experience. So it's more commonly known as HR, customer experience, human experience, because if you don't have a great employee experience, you will never have a great customer experience because they're not living, eating, breathing. They're not happy. They're frustrated with their tools. They think you're a dinosaur. First, you probably won't attract employees, and it's hard enough to attract them in today's environment anyway. But you actually have to design your business and your systems to be progressive. So I think that's a kind of we kind of miss that sometimes. It's a blind spot. I'd say that's like that third challenge.
Yeah. I love how you think about this. And I think so many builders miss this idea of being a retailer. And I just love that concept. I think once you have that switch flips, it's going to make so much more sense. And so I'm curious, how do you feel about this? This summer, we've seen the girl power, like the Barbie movie was dominating the box office, the Taylor Swift, the Eras tour. I mean, we couldn't get away. And so we hear this term sheconomy. So how do you think the sheconomy has really influenced home building trends and the way that home builders market their homes, their products?
I think it's just huge. And I'll go back and play back with a session that I did several years in a row. And I mean, this must have been a decade ago, I'm not sure. We had a session called sheconomy. And at that time, we were trying to get the builders to understand that 90% of home buying decisions are made by women. And so you really need to market to women, you need to sell to women. And we did this whole session on men and women and how they're wired differently and strengths and opportunity. And we had a lot of fun with it. Men were definitely afraid it was male bashing, and it really wasn't. We did have fun with it. But it's interesting. It's only accelerated. So back then, 90% of home buying decisions were made influenced by a woman. And it didn't matter whether it was just a single man buying a contract or it was a couple or, what it was. There was always the woman would show up in the process, like just always there. Even if the guy just said, I need to bring in my friend who's a girl to help me make this decision because women just think about these things. Fast forward to today, 30% of our market is single women. So 30% single women. We always think of kind of the traditional couple, nuclear family, and the world has really shifted in terms of the amount of single people that live alone. But 30% is single females, and there are 2.5 times more single females than there are male single buyers. So it's really become incredibly important. And it's important that we think about it. I know, and there's other stats, women are really coming into their own. So from an education perspective, it's great news, but it's scary because I have sons as well. But 46% of women versus 36% of men in the ages 25 to 34 have college degrees. So again, that's 46% of women and 36% of men. So women are definitely coming to their own. The pay gap is starting to, it's not going 100% yet, but it's starting to make gains. It does concern me a little bit on the male front because we need to worry about that. But sticking to the topic, it's even more important that we think about the female psyche when we're appealing to our buyers. And if you think about it, a single female buyer has different issues and concerns. Safety and security is huge, right? If you're a single female living alone, how we like to be marketed to, how we like to have a sales dialogue is very different. We're more collaborative. Sales bravado doesn't fly with us, right? And that's held true for some time. So I just think it's really important that we focus in on knowing who our customer is. And I think it's going to get really interesting as Gen Zers come into the market. They're now here, not a huge population. They view gender very differently. So don't know what that is going to mean for all of us as we move forward.
Yeah, for sure. Gen Z is going to be a whole new level of challenges. We definitely know that they view politics very different, and we know they care a lot about climate, and they're more, I don't want to say charitable even, but they definitely are more predispositioned to looking outside of themselves. So what role do you think that sustainability and climate tech will play from building industry, say, over the next decades?
I think it's going to be huge. And I always find it fascinating because oftentimes builders will fight kind of legislation or requirements that the homes are more sustainable or eco-friendly. But I think it's such a huge advantage for home builders because we have the opportunity to build these features and products in, and sometimes they're, if not impossible, they're very hard to retrofit. So I just think it's a huge opportunity. And I think you've nailed it with Gen Zs. They're very philanthropic. They care about the causes that the company they buy from employs. They definitely are very sensitive to climate change and sustainability. So I think it's going to become important. Again, just knowing who our customers are. But I also do think it's a huge advantage for us over used homes.
100%. I do think it is such a big opportunity for us. And like I said, I am excited not just about the innovative ways that we can really change the way we position sales and marketing for new home sales, but also the way to build the homes themselves. That is the game changer. If we can figure out that part, then sales marketing can be like no brainer.
It is easier to market and sell a good product. For sure.
So I'm curious, obviously now that you're on your own, you have worked with some really progressive companies. So can you tell us about any innovative product or trends in home building that you're particularly excited about now?
One that I am swimming in right now is neobanking in the home building industry. So a lot of us are familiar with Chime and Venmo, digital banking. Again, we suddenly wake up someday and that's how we're doing things, right? But it's not really come in from a B2B perspective. It's not really in the building industry. And I didn't really know a lot of this, so I really started to study it more. A lot of builders now are doing ACH payments and they're more digital and their processes are digital. The challenge is as soon as that money leaves the builder and goes down into the supply chain to the contractors and the trades and down to the hammer slinger, it is like the land that time forgot in terms of digital. It is cash. It's challenging to get checks cash. They have to pay a high percentage. You're dealing in cash, which means that's very dangerous and you're on the fringe. I really had no awareness of this until I started to get into it. And so there's digital banking solutions coming out that allow that kind of digitized payment down through the process. And it's interesting as I talk to builders, some builders are like, I'm good, I'm fine, not really seeing that challenge. But a lot of builders are more enlightened in terms of saying that extra cost, if that cost of money, the percentage points are being built in there, I'm paying for it anyway. It just means the contractor is going to pay me more for the job because he's got to figure out how to manage this money through the process and he's got to pay high percentage points and get it to cash. It's a messy business. And builders are going, yeah, ultimately we're paying for that. And it would be really nice to clean up the industry. So for me, it's another solution like some of the other solutions I've worked on that you're bringing the industry together and you're looking at the continuum and how can digital and technology actually help with some of the problems that we have. So that's probably the one that came to mind because I'm swimming in that one at the moment.
It's an important conversation. So I just came back from San Antonio from the fall leadership meeting for the
I
NHG.
know. I saw the pictures. I had serious FOMO. You guys are having a great time.
I'm lucky to have this job where I get to travel and do all the fun stuff. But one of the things that we were discussing during the Young Professional Committee meeting is some of the challenges that people are having with starting their businesses. And so a lot of builders express that the subcontractors that they work with, they don't even know how to create an invoice. Like they don't, a lot of them don't even speak English. And labor, right? Like they are doing the work in the home. They don't know how to create an invoice, let alone how to create anything marketing related that, to make it presentable. I do think that technologies like this, they can make it so much easier for them to create this product, right? Like, I mean, anybody can use your phone and, you know, with a couple of taps, then boom, okay, this is what we're doing. So if we can make that process easier, then there's opening doors for so many more people who are wanting to for the labor market and who want to start the jobs and who want to participate. And sometimes it's like the old ways of bureaucracy is almost standing in the way, but I do think technology can really help us solve a lot of that. And even I was thinking about job displacement with AI, how it's really going after the white collar jobs and display. I was reading that number that copywriters or even digital graphic designers, that the demand for that type of a role had fallen drastically over the last year or so since ChatGPT has made its splash. And it makes sense. And so now, what are we going to do with all these people who are suddenly can't do the work that they were doing? And how are we going to retrain them for the next skill set? And why not retrain them into the skill set of maybe the blue collar? So I think there was actually an optimistic statistic that in the younger generation right now, like Gen Z and younger, that the blue collar work is starting to become more popular. I think because of threat from AI, that it's going to be a lot more difficult to replace an electrician versus a copywriter. So I think that's actually one of the kind of optimistic things for me, that we may have this unintended influx of a workforce coming into our industry. So
And we need it, right? There is this huge shortage. So how do we attract people into the industry? And to your point, how do we give them the tools, whether they're coming in from outside the country, whether they're immigrating in, whether they are Gen Zers coming up, women, there's the whole She Built movement, which is incredible in terms of can we pull women into these traditionally male positions. But I do think technology and digital can really help them do it the right way because they can't, if you really don't know what you're doing from a banking perspective, you can be very taken advantage of. And it's just the right thing to do. And I think we're going to have to do it to ensure that we have all the businesses and support businesses that we need.
100%. I agree with you. So speaking of fun travel, we do have a little fun travel coming up to Pasadena. So you're involved as a content chair and moderator at the upcoming Tech Home Builder and Housing Transformation Summits in Pasadena. So can you tell us more about this event and why is it so important for home building industry?
I think it's vital because it's a smaller, more intimate event. And I love IBS. I love going to IBS, and it's amazing. What I think the Housing Transformation Summit supplements nicely is that John Galante and his team curate the best companies, the most progressive companies, the up and coming solutions, and they do it for you, put it all together for you. And some of them are very mature companies and solutions, and some are startups that are coming in along with kind of the product manufacturers with their products for the home. And it's put together for you. So it's easy to digest. It's a lot, right? Just because you've shared some of these as well. It's a lot of information, but you literally walk out within a few days of a really good sense of where is the industry in terms of all of these digital solutions and other areas. And you get your dance card. And you don't just hear from those providers. Just about every panel has builders on it saying, this is how it really works. And this is how it worked for me. This is where I struggled. Very candid offerings of information. And then I think if nothing else, it's the networking. So you're sitting there with other builders and these solution providers, and you're really getting a sense for what makes sense. And you're not going to walk out and go, oh, I've heard about 52 new solutions. I'm going to do them all. Or you're not going to do that, but you'll figure out what's my journey. What path do I get going on? So I think that's what makes it special.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been involved with the events since 2019, I want to say. And every year I go, I'm always blown away by new things that I learn every single time. So I think what's great is that now they combine the 10 Plum Daughter and Housing Transformation Summit into one event. It is a great opportunity to meet such a diverse group of people. And whether you're in the building industry where you're literally making purchasing decisions and you're thinking, how can I make our homes more attractive for that next generation who are concerned about having a smart tech home and all the smart appliances and all the systems that talk to each other. Literally, the homes are becoming smart that they can detect a leak and pure air, all types of things, which is so amazing to me. Again, that's a real differentiator between the use and the new construction, where whether you're on the marketing side and you're trying to figure out in this challenging environment, how do I sell more homes? How do we grow as a company? And how can we really make it easier for our buyers to visualize what the future home's going to look like? Because let's face it, it still is one of the biggest challenges for new home buyers is they just can't see it oftentimes. So how can we paint that picture for them? How can we take away all the concerns and all the uncertainties out of that journey and really make it easy for them to say yes? So that's what I love about it. Every time I go, like I said, I learn something new. We're going to be presenting 2 sessions together and look forward to that. And yeah, I think you guys should definitely look into that. I'll make sure to link all the information in the show notes. If you've never been, you want to go, definitely check it out, especially if you're a home builder. The event is free to attend for you. They'll take care of your cost for getting there, housing, everything. So it's just an all immersive event where you can literally learn all about the technology in a short period of time and it's great. And it is a lot of information, but definitely time spent.
Yes. Amen.
And so Melissa, as we're wrapping up today's podcast, can you tell us a little bit more about Build for the Future? What types of services do you provide to the companies that you partner with? What types of companies do you typically partner with? And where can you really add that value so that if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, hey, maybe we're offering new service and we want to make a splash in home building, or maybe on a home builder, and I'm struggling with figuring out where to get started. So tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So we work with home builders certainly, and it expands the gamut. A lot of it is around as they're trying to figure out what is their digital journey, figure out where they are, help them figure out where they are and what makes the most sense for them. So helping them through that piece of it. Sometimes it's very customer experience focused. So working with companies to educate on customer experience, what that means, what that looks like, taking them through their journey mapping, and again, getting them on this path. Sometimes it's personal mentorship. Some builders just want someone to be their personal digital coach in terms of as they're working as an executive within their home builder, how they can move forward and be their technology muse, if you will, that they can lean on. And then working with several different startups in the industry, the neobanking that I mentioned, and some other startups will work on their boards, help advise, because it's a tough industry to break into. It's hard, right? You would think it wouldn't be, but it's challenging doing some of that. And then we're dabbling outside the industry as well. We just did a workshop for a company that is 100 years old, and we were helping to develop their next generations in terms of preparing for their next step as leaders in a company. So, right, it's great. So, I would say digital customer experience. Tim tends to be more on the lean manufacturing operations side. He does a lot on that area as well.
And so that two people connect with you. Is there a website, phone number, email address, social media? Where do you hang out if somebody wants to learn more and potentially connect with you personally?
Yeah. So I would say adult4f.com is a great place to start, but you can find us on LinkedIn as well. So you can see some of the things that we're working on there. But just give us a shout. We'd love to chat.
Thank you so much for being on today podcast. When you say when somebody wants to have that access to you directly in their developing of the digital transformation. So again, thinking about my own experience, I looked up to you. And so I definitely think if you guys are, if you need a guide in this journey, Melissa's got the experience. She's been there, done it, and so she can definitely guide you in the right path, and to be a trusted resource because it is complicated. It is confusing and it is scary when you're getting started.
Yes.
And for being a guest today, again, I value your friendship so much. I have learned a ton from you throughout the years, and I continue to learn from you. And I'm excited to spend a little bit of time with you again coming up in Pasadena. So hopefully we'll see you guys over there as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Anya. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye.